We are tearing down the Nintendo Switch. I just picked it up, bought it myself. I have not played it and will not probably. We'll see how this goes. We're going to take it apart and see what's inside. The idea is to see, one, what's the teardown process like? What is the GPU, CPU, SoC inside? It's a Tegra something. And maybe learn something about memory and other things within the unit, like thermals. Before getting to that, this coverage is brought to you by iFixit.com. Today we're using the iFixit ProTech toolkit, though we've got a couple of their other tools on the table as well. You can use coupon code GamersNexus for $5 off of iFixit.com on these kits. And we've used a lot of their tools and teardowns in the past. They are genuinely good toolkits. So this is one ad that I'm actually really pleased with because we use their stuff all the time. So this is the Nintendo Switch. We've got a few things to look at today. Zelda may or may not be one of them, depending on how this goes. The unit itself, this is the portable unit. We'll be taking that apart probably first. It looks like, just for the record for folks who want to know, it has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Phillips screws on either side where the Joy-Cons attach. And then on the bottom, it's got 2 more really small Phillips screws flanking the USB Type-C connector, and we'll see how far how it goes after that. There's probably a screw hidden somewhere, but we'll find it. I'm sure we can do that. Oh yeah, there it is right there. Just found it. There's a screw hidden under the stand, the kickstand, where the micro SD card is located. So we'll take that down first, and then the next thing to look at will actually be the dock. Now this is a little bit more advanced than what we originally expected. I believe it probably has some kind of hardware in there to allow for either lane muxing or some kind of lane assignment for the USB ports that are on the unit. So the dock may get looked at, and then we'll think about the Joy-Cons as well. Let's start with the Switch itself. And we're going to go ahead and just pull these Phillips screws out because I do not know if there's a correct method yet because this thing is brand new. So, ooh, that's it. Let's get these out of here. And we are going to use our mat so that I remember where every screw goes. Does it come off? Not yet. That's right. We've got the hidden screw. Okay. Does it separate now? No, I think we have to take these out near the ventilation ports, which I'm really curious to see what is under there for Nintendo's thermal solution. And so I'm going to go about this process as carefully as I can and just remove the screws one at a time, apply force, see where it gives and where it doesn't, and then figure out where the next screw is based on that. Okay, so this is just like a laptop chassis so far. I think we actually will have to take those other screws out, so let's just go ahead and take all the screws out at this point. Actually, that's not right either, so I might use the other one. Okay, this one. Why does it have to be like this, Nintendo? Here we go. Okay, not bad. That one was easy. Okay, that is definitely the way it has to be done. So now we get some stuff coming free. There is some cabling attached to this that is for charging the controllers. I believe they charge when they're mounted to the sides. So we've got those out. Let's kind of organize those for a second. All right, cool. Same thing over here. Yes, same thing. All right, back plate comes off cleanly. So back plate comes off just like that. And nothing special here. Not even thermal pads or anything like that. No contact whatsoever other than just plastic to metal. Got some kind of shell here. Maybe an aluminum or cheap aluminum or something, or a tin. And foam damping here. What is that? What goes over there? Oh, is that really that small? A 25 or 26 millimeter fan. That is tiny. But I guess it's a low TDP unit overall. I mean, the thing is very small, of course, which matters, but ultimately it's not cooling as much heat as something like a computer would. Screws, let's kind of call these out. At the What's top? At the top. When I say top, it's the side with the power button. Top is 1, 2, 3, 4 screws, all the same size, all Phillips. Left, we've got 1 screw holding in a small PCB with the SD card insert point. Screw at the bottom, 1, 2 of those. Phillips, same size. Right side, 1 on the side, holding probably this charging stuff in place, and that's all we've got. At some point, you would assume something will go wrong, because so far it's pretty smooth. Oh, nice. Okay. I was worried this thing would actually be attached in a more direct way, but in fact it's not. So what you've got here is a small ribbon cable, and is that what is that connecting to? Oh, there's some strange thermal paste. So when you pull this plate off, this ribbon cable will actually detach from its socket, which let me angle that for you, and I'll point to it with this thing, spudger. So that I'm pointing to, I believe, is the socket that the ribbon cable disconnected from when it was pulled. And so hopefully that's easy to align when we put it back together. But we've got it really, it looks like we're mostly done with the basics at least. I'm sure there's more stuff under here, but we'll look through some of the components first. We have thermal pads. What's our thermal pad layout? How does this mount? Like that? That's not a thermal pad. That's a foam pad, probably for vibration reasons. That's a thermal pad. What is that touching? A FET? It's not even branded. That's weird. Oh, some kind of IC with a thermal pad on it. So whether that's part of a VRM or something else, I'm not positive. It looks like there might be a tiny inductor next to it. So it could be some kind of VRM, but again, I'm not 100% positive. M92T36, let's look that up. No results, okay. No public results on that, I'll have to look for it later. Thermal paste. For the heat pipe, we have a copper heat pipe that is not, it's a squared heat pipe, so it's not got as much potential as some of the large round ones. But we're at 9, it's an 8mm heat pipe. Pretty standard, really. 8mm pipe, we've got foam here, thermal compound there, and then another, oh, these are speakers, okay, so those damping pads are where the speakers are, definitely to prevent vibration. This goes over here, which is where that SD stuff, oh no, SD's at the bottom, but okay, so we can get rid of that plate. Nintendo, for its lithium-ion battery, is using a 3.7 volt 4310 milliamp hour battery, and it is 16.0 watt hours. And the part number on that, for anyone who wants it, if you're replacing things in the future and can actually find this, which it looks like it's custom fit, so it will be a while. HAC003. See. Okay, so that's the battery on the back of the unit. We see it says it wants a charger, 15 volts, 2.6 amps. And then we've got the actual specs for the battery there. See what else we can take apart. Let's get to the NVIDIA, into the Tegra stuff. Here's a SEC631. Let's see what that is. It's flash storage. So there's your flash die right there. So I thought it looked like a flash die, but I wasn't positive because honestly, this is the first time I've torn apart a console, so it's a bit new. But so this is eMMC ARC for embedded memory devices. So that contains the NAND flash, which we have a video explaining what NAND flash is if you actually don't know what that is. And I believe, according to this text from Samsung's website, it says it also, because it's made for an embedded storage or embedded memory device, it also contains the controller for the storage element integrated on the same silicon die. So that allows them to keep the form factor and the throughput and the density of the chip in one format. So that's cool. That's the eMMC. Let's start I think that's everything we can identify. Oh, there's one more thing. For the sake of completion, let's figure out what this is. I really want to start here, so let's start here. Okay, that was like glued in place or something, but oh yeah, right there. Yeah, it's a little bit of some kind of it's a cheap thermal pad. So there's a thermal pad there, very tiny ribbon screw. That's going to be kind of a nightmare to get back in. That goes, see if I can point this out to you. So if you look at the end of the ribbon cable, I think I said ribbon screw. If you look at the end of the ribbon cable, it goes into that socket that's right next to it, where I'm holding them right now. So that's a lot of layers of interface to go through to cool your device. I will say that. I mean, we're going through base plate to, what is this, a thermal pad or a copper shim, to a like a copper film, to a thermal paste, to a copper cold plate, to a thermal paste and thermal pad over here. Which, is that a thermal pad? Yes. Thermal paste and thermal pad. And then we're going from there. Just, oh well, it can't dissipate into the back plate. I guess it can somewhat. That steel, not steel, the metal back plate we can dissipate into a little bit for sure. But really what's happening is it heats up here at the heat pipe, and then that liquid's going to condense. Liquid in the heat pipes, as we've explained before. It'll condense, capillary, it'll go down here and then capillary action, or I should say, it will condense up here at the cooler, and then using capillary action come down, and then here it will evaporate and go up. So that's the heating and cooling process, and that'll be dissipated by the fan, and it looks like sent out the back. Now, what temperature this thing's going to be, I'm not sure, but it theoretically isn't too hot of a device. There's wireless right there. That's our wireless antenna for sure. The wireless card is it on the other side? Wireless card is on the other side of the PCB or is under this. Oh. You can tell the neodymium magnet in the drivers because the screw is sticking to it. That's definitely a speaker. If that wasn't, I mean, it's pretty obvious, but if it wasn't obvious, the magnetic part of it should make it pretty obvious. Just to anyone who was wondering, that's a side B. So that tells us which side of the board we're on relative to Nintendo's design. Type-C charger. This is obvious. If you've never seen power cables before, you can normally identify them like that. A lot of red and black for the 5-volt or other lines in there. Ribbon cable. So this one that was vexing me right here, that's another push. You push it into socket, into a pinout. So I'm going to take that off. That'll go over here somewhere. God, this is going to suck to put back together. If thermal paste is ever a question, it's pretty easy. It was a couple screws and you just wipe it off and put it back on, which we'll be doing when we reapply everything. But anything beyond that, I think you're probably going to be mostly out of luck. I'm going to leave the power in place just because it seemed like kind of a pain to get out of there. Now we're getting to some of the logic. Let's see what's over here. It's on the other side of this thing. So we can tell it's the GPU because look at the density of all the stuff in there. It's all the caps and everything else for the GPU backside like you would normally see. I say GPU because I'm used to working with those. It's really an SoC, or system on chip. It's everything. It's not just the GPU. I'm just calling it that out of habit. So that's the SoC, which is a Tegra unit. I want to get in there and see if it's labeled. Jetson Audio Codec. NVIDIA Developer Forums. There you go. Cool. So this is I believe this is the same one that's on the Jetson boards from NVIDIA. Okay, so that's a Realtek audio driver. Let's just go ahead and make a note of that. Pericom Semiconductor makes this chip right here. That one. Either way, that's a USB switch or controller. Just not sure specifically if what the capabilities are. Okay, got it. there's a cover that wasn't clear. See how that's flexing right there? So I thought it was one entire unit, like an IHS or something. I wasn't really positive what I was looking at, but it's actually just a cover that sockets on over sort of a receptacle, so that's not as bad as I thought. The bottom part is soldered there, but that's because that's the GPU. So that's what I was looking at, was the GPU, which means if I decided to try and delit it, I would have actually ripped the GPU off. What we want to do is get the cover off. I got it. Nice. Thermal pad around the edge, thermal paste, and a very, very small piece of copper for the direct contact to the SoC, to the heat pipe. And by direct, I mean direct through several layers of thermal paste. 1, 2, 3, but still semi-direct. Well, so the answer to if you want to clean your thermal paste in a year or whatever, whenever you need to, a few years, it's under all that stuff that we just took apart. I'm not going to clean around the side of it right now. We're just going to see what it's labeled as, since NVIDIA hasn't been too public about that exact product specification, as it is semi-custom. It's an A2 die, so it's the second rev. A2 means second production rev. ODNX. Oh, NX. Anyone remember NX? I found it. It's still part of the product. Despite being rebranded as the Switch, it actually was a legitimate code name, because it's on here. I haven't finished looking it up yet, and I'm not going to find it clearly because it's labeled NX. I don't know. Can you see that without the magnifying glass, or do you need the... So I'm going to go ahead and guess we're looking at a modified Maxwell, despite the original NVIDIA statement where they said they're using the latest, most powerful architecture that's used in GPUs, which at the time would have clearly pointed to Pascal, as I speculated. But it looks like, I'm guessing this is a modified Maxwell, so they might not have had time to go Pascal. I think these are 2 GB modules, maybe. I'm thinking that's what these are. Which obviously I'm looking everything up kind of live while we're turning it down, so I'm not doing a ton of research. Yeah, let's run with that for now. Let's run with probably 2 GB modules. Cool, well that's the Nintendo Switch. I mean, there's really not anything left of that. The dock, I don't know, should we... How complicated is this? All right, folks, so here's what we're going to do. This is the Switch itself, torn down. We've gone through everything we can reasonably. Some of the parts we could find and some we couldn't. The next thing to do, we're going to take this apart. I'm going to do that in a separate video because this is long enough already and I need to write an article on it. So we'll start with this. We'll do another video on this, which is the dock, and definitely has some stuff in it. I'm not sure 100% how interesting it is, but it's got something to do some of the lane assignment. So we'll take that down, tear that down maybe with the, if these are easy, we'll do these as well. So that'll be a separate video. So that's the Nintendo Switch. It's not going to be the easiest thing to put back together because mostly of those ribbon cables. But if you wanted to do the thermal paste in the future, that part wouldn't be too terrible. It's the rest of it that gets kind of difficult. And I mean, in fact, you wouldn't even have to take this board off like I did. You just take that cover off, clean the paste on all these interfaces, which is a lot, and reapply it, use something good. So that's the Switch teardown. Thank you for watching. Go to patreon.com/gamersnexus to help us out directly. I normally don't place the sponsor twice because really that's not what we do. But if you do like the tools in here, I would support the tools that we're using pretty openly. So that you can use code GamersNexus for $5 off an order there. And yeah, keep an eye out for the next part of the video. Subscribe for that. I'll see you all next time.